In the next 60 minutes, JoyNews Night, minority in Parliament resorts to more theatre as they march on the streets to the police headquarters to ramp up pressure on the IGP to provide security for the EC to conduct a recount of ballots in the Ablekuma North constituency.
We therefore request that your office takes immediate steps without any more delay. Deploy adequate security personnel to the Electoral Commission at its designated collation center.
We have details as the MPP parliamentary candidate insists she won the election fair and square.
We won the election hands down, and so there isn't going to be any rerun. We have the pin sheet. We have every evidence. We've collated with their agents throughout 6 times.
Also tonight, nursing crisis deepens as Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association threaten to withdraw inpatient services amid ongoing strike.
From Monday, we're withdrawing our inpatient services. The point is, you are seeing nurses around because the inpatients are there. All right. Once we decide to withdraw the inpatient services, you're not going to see any nurse at the facility at all. It's unfortunate. I think we shouldn't have gotten to this far.
We have the latest as the nurses' nationwide strike bite hard.
Me baby Trascan. Na me buy no nurses from Bien Hano. Yeah, buy yes nurses for no aqua strike. Sir, omuna ban e wasem. Enti yanko omunya hweye.
And in business, statistical servers optimistic about government achieving end the inflation target of 11.9%.
Others also hear from former Black Stars head coach CK Akona, who is back in Ottawa to go on to qualify the team to the World Cup.
You want to stay with us here on News Night. We'll also have your comments, 055-11-11997. Details after this. You're live here on News Night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, from procedural tactics on the floor of Parliament to sit-ins at Ioko to flashy PR stunts, and the minority in Parliament today, it's not ending there. They parked their four-wheel drives and trekked from the chamber to the police headquarters, where they petitioned the Inspector General of Police to provide security for the Electoral Commission to conduct a recount of ballots in Ablekuma North constituency after the process was abandoned, you may recall, under chaotic circumstances during the 2024 elections. The constituency is currently not represented in the 9th Parliament as the EC blames the police for failing to provide security to conclude the collation. The IGP, Christian Tedayonu, gave assurances a month ago that the election task force is ready to provide security for the collation of results. Listen.
I would urge the EC to provide the National Election Security Task Force with a roadmap with respect to date and place for the finalization of the collation. History often reflects on nations tested by pivotal moments. This is such a moment. The way we handle the situation in Ablekuma North will resonate across the country. It will set the tone not only for this election, but also for public confidence in the years to come. Let us secure not just ballot boxes, but also believe in the system. Let us protect not just physical lives, but the spirit of democracy. Let us stand firm, not in confrontation, but in conviction. Ghana deserves nothing less.
Well, by a month on, there's been no indication of the recounting of the ballots. The MPP MPs marched on the streets from Parliament to the police headquarters to register their displeasure about the inaction of the police service itself. Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre, who read a petition to the police hierarchy, said their patience is waning.
A subsequent high-level meeting involving the Inspector General of Police, the Electoral Commission, and the Election Security Task Force reaffirm the importance of concluding the collation. Yet, no action has been taken up to date. Our demands are simple and straightforward. Without mincing words, the continued disenfranchisement of the people of Ablekuma North represent not only a denial of their constitutional rights to representation, but also an affront to the democratic principles enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. This crisis erodes public trust in the integrity and independence of state institutions, particularly the Ghana Police Service. We therefore request that your office takes immediate steps without any more delay. Deploy adequate security personnel to the Electoral Commission at its designated collation center. Ensure an enabling environment for the peaceful and lawful conclusion and collation and declaration process in Ablekuma North. Uphold the High Court directive and cooperate fully with the EC to bring closure to this matter once and for all. The Ghana Police Service must not be perceived as the institution standing in the way of democracy. Democracy delayed is democracy denied.
Let me bring in parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who trekked with them all the way from Parliament to the police headquarters, exercising his limbs, joins us right now on the line. Kweku, how soon are they expecting action from the police?
Well, according to Habib Idrisu, the deputy minority whip on this matter, they cannot wait for the police to continue actually delaying the entire process. They say 6 months on without representation for Ablekuma North is simply too long, and they are not going to wait. They demand that the recollation or the collation exercise is done immediately with the police providing the needed protection.
The police should do the needful as a state institution and provide security to the Electoral Commission to declare the seat. We are very convinced that the candidate for the New Patriotic Party won the seat. That is why the NDC is still pulling. There
are those who say that they should rerun the process completely in Ablekuma North. You are against that?
But that was not the directive of the court. Which court is saying that they should rerun the election? The court directive is that they should recollate and declare. So if it is another court ruling that says they should rerun it, why would they want the NDC saying that they should rerun it? If they think that they have won the election, then they should recollate. The good people of Ablekuma need representative in parliament. 276 constituencies, 275 have been declared, except Ablekuma North for 6 months now. Why?
Thank you.
The MPP candidate, Kweku, was also there. What's her view on this?
Well, according to Nana Kuefie, she is clear that she's won the election. They have all the documents needed to present to the Electoral Commission when the coalition resumes. I put that question specifically to her. There are those who said that NDC and others say they cannot rely on digital copies of pink sheets. If the Electoral Commission or any person were to suggest that the process be rerun, what will be her position? She disagrees strongly.
If you won, would you say they should rerun? If you were the one who won, will you say they should rerun? You know the King Solomon issue. We won the election hands down, and so there isn't going to be any rerun. We have the pin sheet. We have every evidence. We've collated with their agents throughout 6 times, and this is where we are. So if you were the one who won, will you suggest there should be a rerun? That's my question.
Did they get a response from the police, Kweku?
Well, the police have been very brief. According to the top police management board members who received this petition, this will receive the needed attention from the IGP, and as soon as a decision is made, it will be communicated.
Members of the police management board present here, we have petition and that will be intended before the police administration for the necessary.
Well, so they got a response. It was brief. We'll communicate it to the police hierarchy. If we get a positive response, we'll communicate it back to you. Let's bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Haruna Mohammed, who joins us on the line right now. Haruna, happy with the response you got from the police rep?
Thank you very much, Evans. Good evening to your cherished listeners. I think that this activity is long overdue. The CI that regulated elections in the 2024 elections is still very active. The Electoral Commission has expressed their readiness to continue to complete the existing coalition of the Ablekuma North constituency. They requested that they needed adequate security to be able to do so. We all know what has happened aftermath of the Electoral Commission openness to get this particular matter resolved. We saw people in Rambo style with guns and what have you that besiege the roads leading to the Electoral Commission. At some point in time, that the video footages had even saw some military officers and other security officers who were part of the demonstrators. We want one thing to be done for the coalition of Ablekuma North to be completed, because we know our candidates have won the elections and we want the right thing to be done. And that is why the members of parliament on the side of the MPP have gone to submit petitions to the police to be able to get this matter done. Our lawyers have also written to the Electoral Commission. Our lawyers have written to the Electoral Commission. They have also written to the Inspector General of Police to act on this particular matter. We have not gotten any concrete responses from them with respect to the conclusion of this matter. I think that they need to speed up, and that is why the minority leadership have taken up upon themselves to petition the police to get this matter resolved.
And you referenced today when the demonstration happened, the walk happened, that this is pursuant to a court order, correct?
I come again.
That this is your petition, it's pursuant to a court order for the recollection to happen.
Yes, petitions can always be presented at any point in time. The NDC is for a rerun. And if you read carefully, because I didn't know offhand this interview, I would have pointed to you the specific portions of CI 127 that regulates and what decision has to be taken when it comes to such a matter. And the CI is clear that until there is some level of determination, we cannot rerun the place. But what we can do is to conclude, because there's no adequate evidence to show that the pink sheets are not available. The electronic act is there, and we all know. And the circumstances that have led to this state, everybody knows that it is the NDC that have caused this. They've gone to burn down a complete school that is going to offer education to our Ghanaian children. So it is something that we have to look at. It's not anything. This is just a seat that the MPP has won. It is clear that they should come out and make the declaration.
I mean, but if this is subject to the court has pronounced on this matter, why are you not using the courts to enforce it?
I have not had the opportunity to see any court order or have a judgment passed on this particular matter because our legal team have not had that answer to brief, because in the last briefing we have at National Council, we are unaware of such a matter that has been passed or any court order on such a matter, unless I make reference to the legal counsel, which is Gary Nimaku. But as I said, I am not, there is no any available evidence regarding the court decision or a court order.
I want to bring in Daniel Togba. He is is the director of elections, the NDC at the constituency level. Joins us on the line right now. Daniel, you're not opposed to a recollection, are you?
Thank you very much, Ivan. Good evening to your listeners. We cannot be opposing to any recollection whatsoever. However, there are some fundamental issues that have to be done. Of course, it's so sad that Honorable Haruna was trying to be a bit on truth in some of the issues you asked him. You showed him how professional you are in respect of your questioning. But of course, that we cannot belabor the point that it's a constitutional thing that the EC must conclude the collation. However, like I said earlier, the fundamental issues had been there that after the 219 police stations had been declared or had been collated, and we're not having any additional the pin sheet to continue with the collation. The declaration was made. Well, let's put it aside because court ordered that we should continue collation. And from that moment going on, every other pin sheet that was brought for the collation were scanned copies that cannot be tenable when it comes to the CI 127 Honorable Habib was even referring to. So indeed, NDC on our part, we are eagerly waiting for our candidate to be declared winner. Either we go ahead with the running of the 62 police stations, which is obviously the clear issues that is on floor. We all need to understand that this is elections, and the right thing must be done. We on our party knew very well we have won the election. However, if it's a court order to do the rightful thing, then every state agency involved in this must be seen doing the exact right thing. You cannot allow anybody to circumvent the law and then try to do it in their own way. And that has been our position. Evans.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Haruna, grateful also. I want to hear from you. If you live in that particular constituency, please reach out. Let's hear your thoughts on the issues raised by the minority. You're the NDC's point two on the matter. Send me a WhatsApp, 055-11-11997. And tonight, I want to take you into the health sector where there is crisis that appears to be deepening by the hour, because the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, yes, they are already on strike, but they are warning tonight that they will withdraw inpatient services if government fails to deal with the issues that are of grave concern to them. Scores of patients were left stranded today as nurses and midwives intensified their nationwide strike, withdrawing both outpatient department, that's OPD, and emergency services at public health facilities across the country. Now, the situation has brought healthcare delivery to a near standstill in many hospitals, with long queues of frustrated patients and overwhelmed skeletal staff struggling to manage critical cases. Now, the nurses and midwives say the decision follows failed negotiations with government over unresolved conditions of service and welfare concerns. We'll hear from them on their next move shortly. But first, my colleague Clinton Yeboah has been interacting with some frustrated patients at the Ofori-Atta Teaching Hospital today.
Currently, at the Pampas Children's Hospital, patients are stranded. They are being turned away. Inpatients who have been admitted already are also being prematurely discharged.
We have
no idea what is going on, but we have been turned away. Pregnant women should not be treated this way. I am yet to receive new medication for my pressure level, but I'm told to go home. For what? I am here for a scan, but I haven't seen a nurse around. I'm even here to see a doctor. I caught up with the Assistant Regional Secretary, Ebenezer Akwa, who says the association is very resolute on fighting for what is due them.
Honestly, we are not happy. We are not happy at all, because this condition of service has been signed already. There were issues that we've resolved. We've written to government. Government, we've resolved all these issues. So implement it for us. But why is government delaying the implementation? For now, we are waiting a news from government. If government tells us that, then we will not scale it up. But if still government delays in responding to our conditions of service, then we will scale it up and then we'll draw inpatient next week.
At the Ofori-Atta Teaching Hospital, the situation seems to be the same. Although patients are trooping in and out, they are being refused care. And the first deputy chairman of the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Ashanti region, that we spoke to, Philmon Edu Bimpong, says that.
And our checks across the region indicate that all our nurses and midwives, our comrades, are complying to the directives from national. And so far, so good. We are making some impact. We are not happy whenever we decide to stick to industrial action. I'm Suba.
From Kumasi, my name is Clinton Yeboah for JoyNews.
Well, a lot of my colleagues have been around trying to understand what really is happening in other parts of the country. Let's stay in the Greater Accra region for a second. Collins had been around in the Greater Accra region from the Ashanti region. He joins me in the studio right now. Collins, you were at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, correct? What did you find when you went there?
Evans, it was a terrible scene at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital this morning, with patients struggling to have access to various treatments. Korle Bu has about 6 outpatient departments, including the accident and the orthopedic outpatient departments. Nurses were nowhere to be found at these OPDs as well as the emergency units. For the emergency units, anyone who visited saw red bands right from the entrance straight into the various wards, and the patients were left unattended to.
Okay, and we heard from the health ministry that they were going to get police officers to protect those nurses who had decided not to comply with the directive to strike. Did you find police officers at Korle Bu?
It was nothing like that was happening at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and all nurses have joined the strike according to the engagement that we had with some of the nurses off record. And also they tell us that none of the nurses that were part of the groups that had broke away from the strike were also going to be on duty this particular morning. With regards to the deployment of the police, we did not identify any police officer at any of the OPDs as well as the emergency ward that we visited.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, colleagues. We started in Ashanti region. I want to go back there for an update. Clinton, my colleague, joins me on the line. You, throughout the morning, you monitored this situation with the hospitals and how the nurses' strike is affecting patients coming in. Has anything changed this evening? Because we know government says they are mobilizing to try and get additional staff in to assist. Did anything change?
Evan, nothing has changed. The situation is the same, and it actually gets worse because you can cite patients and their relatives who have been stranded and now made to wait behind. Some of them are now perching at the premises of the hospital, which means they are somehow banking their hopes on a favorable resolution to the situation. But from the nurses, the solution lies with the government and the agreement and the discussions that have gone on. So until there is a response from the national level, a favorable one, the condition will still persist.
Clinton, thank you very much. Now, the situation is expected to worsen now in the coming days because the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, they have now served notice to withdraw other services by Monday. Daniel Tinkran is the General Secretary of the association.
Look, we are going to stir it up, okay? Oftentimes when you declare strike action, the first day, people try to mark time and see whether it will be effective and all that. Tomorrow, you are likely not to see anybody. From Monday, we're withdrawing our inpatient services. The point is that you are seeing nurses around because the inpatients are there, all right? Once we decide to withdraw the inpatient services, you're not going to see any nurse at the facility at all. But it's unfortunate. I think we shouldn't have gotten to this far, but we've been praised. Let me tell you something. In 2016, our condition of service never got implemented. And that's what people don't know. Especially these breakaway groups, some of them were formed recently. So they are not very privy to some of these challenges that we have had over the years. In 2016, the entire condition of service that we negotiated for never saw implementation. It was only 2020 that we got some aspect of the condition of service implemented. We think that the employer is taking us for granted, and we need to press home our demand for better condition of service. And my brother, you see, if there is any time that any employer will be minded, it should be this time. Okay. The number of nurses that have left the shores of Ghana. It's not as though those who are working cannot leave. They can also leave. Okay, but they have decided that they will stay in Ghana and help build this country. We need to build this country together. All right. So those who are seized with authority to do the right thing should do the right thing and stop being intransigent.
Let's bring in Tony Goodman. He speaks for the Health Ministry. Tony, any idea when this will be resolved?
Thank you. Good evening to our listeners. National Labour Commission has directed that the strike action should be called off, and that is illegal. We, as a ministry, we are open for further discussion. As I speak to you, we just left Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They have also indicated that they have called them severally for them to come, for them to develop a roadmap for the implementation of the condition of service. But they are not in town, and it's making it difficult for them to continue their negotiation. So it's not as if negotiation has ended or doors are closed. Nobody's ready to listen to our colleague nurses. It's just that they are not ready to listen to anybody. Anytime you call them, the only thing they say is, sign the document. Sign the document.
And what is stopping you from signing the document?
How do you sign a document? You engage and then develop a roadmap for the implementation. That is how this thing is done. After signing, what else? You have to implement. So these are the periods you engage the other groups, anybody who is involved, you engage. You know that there is a facility far away in the north in the South who is supposed to also perform a particular role in this document. So you need to bring people together, agree. Okay, this one we are doing it this year, we are doing this one next month. That is how is that. But if you say fine, we are just appealing to them. The sites at the hospitals are not pleasant, and we are only asking them to come back to work whilst we continue this discussion. We in the Ministry of Health, we have not slept for some period now or for some time now. We know clearly that this is not our matter, but they are our staff. And we need to lead the discussion, advocate for whatever they want. That is what we have been doing all this period.
Well, they've already told you today that they will be extending the strike to cover inpatient services. This now is becoming a proper crisis with lives at stake. Did you say that you don't have a roadmap as of now?
No, we have, but they have to come. We lead them to fair wages and the other bodies that are supposed to perform.
But if you have a roadmap, that roadmap was crafted with their input, was it not?
The document that was agreed upon last year was done together with them. Where we have gotten to, they are requesting for it to be implemented.
Yeah, so why? That's the question, right? I mean, if you consulted broadly, you put it together, both sides agree, government and the nurses agree that this is the roadmap that works for both sides. Why don't you sign it?
I indicated earlier that this was signed in the erstwhile regime. As we speak, the fair wages, the boss there is a new person. We have a new minister for health, a new minister for finance. As a group, you only have to re-engage them and say, okay, this is what we agreed with the erstwhile administration. For them to tell you that, okay, we can take care of this month, we can take care of this next month, or we can take care of this next year. It is a matter of discussion. Nobody has closed this or a doors to the nurses. We're only appealing to them. In 5 months, you need to look at some of the things and agree that we can do this, we can do this. This is what we have been asking them. If you said, okay, a document has been agreed upon, so just sign. That would be a bit difficult. It's not done that way.
To be clear then, this delay in implementation has been occasioned by the changing government, fundamentally. Hello, Tony?
Evans, your line is a bit bad.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, just for clarity, this delay has been occasioned by the changing government, the delay in implementing the roadmap.
One, a change in government. Two, by their own colleagues who took this matter to court and said that they were not consulted before the negotiation. So they expected the leadership to include them in this whole negotiation. Later, they went for out-of-court settlement, and then they wanted to be implemented. So this whole thing was done around February. Out of court in January, they filed for asking the ministry to lead them to actually discuss a document with fair wages. This were all done in February. So give and take, we have just about 3-4 months, and then you want it to be implemented. We said, okay, we will not implement this. We have other agencies involved in this. Let's engage them further and see how best we can implement this. In doing this, at times you would agree that, okay, some of the things will be done by another institution. Let's find out from them, how would they be able to do this? Maybe we'll do it next year. We can't do it this year. Ministry of Health, would you help us to maybe take care of this aspect? Ghana Health Service, you are supposed to do this. Can you do it? When it comes to the uniform issues, we are supposed to top up because we are already paying for uniform. We are supposed to top up. How much are you topping up for us? These are still negotiations, you see. They are still negotiations. That has not ended.
Okay. Tony, I'm grateful that you joined me with the latest on this. As he says, the Labour Commission has now directed the workers to return to work. Will they? Is a whole different ballgame. But will the Health Committee in Parliament intervene, try and broker a truce on this particular matter so the workers return to work while negotiations continue? Patrick Boachi Yadom is a deputy ranking on the Health Committee, joins us on the line. Patrick, has this matter come to the attention of the Health Committee in Parliament, and may you be engaging the nurses?
Well, Evans, I'm grateful for this opportunity. Let me extend my to your business. And to issue. Government have adopted this attitude of delay implement agreement. They contain all excuses to justify non-payment or a delay in payment. If you took over the place of government 5 months or 4 months, I'm sure good in the hands of this condition of the new conditions of service. You assess which of them implement, which of them want to negotiate, and meet these nurses before it is too late. Even
Yes, Patrick.
nurses are an important group of workers in the health sector, and grievances should be dealt with. When it comes to the hospital setting, they talk about 80% of the market. So they are such an important group when it comes to healthcare. So issues with nurses should be dealt with quickly as possible.
I mean, but you listen to Tony Goodman's point. He says, well, the previous government negotiated this roadmap. They have just come in. They had to understand what was negotiated, consult a bit more into some of the key areas before they agree to implement. That's what he says. One of the reasons why it's been held up.
Even if it became a good result, would it take them 4 months before they decide to do whatever they do with a good result? You inherit liabilities together. So this justification of let's negotiate, then they should understand the situation. They knew all this before they came to power.
Well, Patrick, I'm grateful that you joined me. That is Patrick Wachi-Yadom, is a deputy ranking member on the Health Committee. And he's still live here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Joe Jaffe is joining me now with business.
Hi, Evans, and coming up, Statistical Service is optimistic about government achieving ND inflation target of 11.9%. And businesses warn of passing cost of 1 cedi levy on prices of petroleum products to consumers in the form of increases in goods and services. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to business on Newsnight. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service is optimistic that government will be able to achieve its end inflation target of 11.9%. Now, that is if it sticks to its projected policy measures captured in the 2025 budget. There is more in this report.
Finance Minister Dr. Atufo said in the 2025 budget projected that inflation rate will hit 11.9%. However, with inflation slowing down to 18.4% for the month of May 2025, the lowest since February 2022, there are some who still doubt that the end-year target is achievable. But answering questions from journalists, Government Statistician Dr. Hassan Ijusi said the target is achievable, but on some conditions.
Indeed, if government fast-tracks the implementation of these interventions, it's even likely that the target that has been set in the budget may be achieved well ahead of time. It's possible. It's likely.
On the outlook, Government Statistician Dr. Hassan Ijusi noted that inflation rate could also be slowing down in the coming months.
The overall trend shows sustained disinflation, possibly influenced by the strengthening cedi, tighter monetary policy, fiscal consolidation, and positive market sentiment. We remain cautiously optimistic that this trajectory will continue.
The May inflation data showed that food items like yam, smoked herrings, fish, vegetable oil, and ginger were the major drivers. Locally produced goods inflation dropped more than that of imported ones. The 18.4% inflation for the month of May is the lowest since February 2022. In terms of recommendation, the Ghana Statistical Service advised businesses to explore sourcing locally since inflation on locally produced items are going down. However, When it comes to government, the Ghana Statistical Service asks managers of the economy to continue the implementation of policies that have helped to stabilize the cedi.
And that is a Business Desk report. So, will the 1 cedi levy on prices of petroleum products affect the current slowdown in inflation rates? Let's hear from the government statistician, again, Dr. Hassan.
I mean, if all other things being equal, you have your petroleum prices or diesel prices or fuel prices increasing because an additional tax has been imposed on it. All other things being equal, then what it means is that it's likely to affect transportation fares, and then that can, affect prices. So that could lead to increasing prices from on transport and then on fuel. But that's one side. So the question, let's bear in mind that once we are able to finance energy production and transmission and distribution, that is what fuels economic activities, and that is what generates the growth that we are all looking for. So all other things being equal, if we're able to get additional financing to close that gap, it means that we'll be able to get reliable energy.
And that is government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has warned that businesses may increase prices of goods if the recently introduced 1 cedi on fuel levy, that is 1 cedi on as levy on fuel, impacts their operational cost. Let's hear from Mark Bedu-Abuaji, his chief executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Now we're all asking that prices should go down. If you keep on introducing a new level of taxes and levies, you don't expect that the prices will immediately go down. So that's what we are asking for. So now I think they should give us some relief. If they really want prices to go down, they should give us some relief. We don't expect that immediately they will increase or introduce new levies and expecting that prices will go down. Business obviously will add up once it increases their cost of production. This is specific. So they should use it for its intended purpose to support the energy sector. We need efficient, reliable and sustainable supply of electricity for our business. Probably that is the main reason why we are supporting it. The main reason why we're also calling on other people to support it, so that we don't have the doom that we have experienced over the years, because it's definitely killing businesses. A lot of businesses that collapse under the doom, so we're not able to come back, and we don't want that.
Mark Bedu-Abuaji is chief executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now, the Jubilee and Chinebua Ngara Ntome partners are set to invest more than $2 billion in Ghana over the next years. Now, this was after they secured approval from government to extend license that covers the operations on the Jubilee field as well as Chinebua Ngara fields to 2040. The deal is also expected to increase gas supply from these fields and also reduce the price of these gas that is supplied to Ghana for power production. Now, Afri-Exim Bank has announced plans to expand its investments across African continent, targeting various sectors of economies in the region. Now, they believe that this will go a long way to help strengthen the economies of members in the region. Now, speaking during a media tour of the African Medical Center of Excellence in Abuja, Nigeria, Dorothy, managing director of the Export Development Bank at Afri-Exim, stated that they are committed to reducing the estimated $2.5 billion Africa loss annually on outbound medical tourism.
Our goal is to ensure that we maintain the dignity of our citizens by bringing world-class medical care within their reach. We will eliminate the need for costly international travel and associated expenses such as accommodation, etc., when people go out of the country to seek medical treatment. We will also be putting a keen interest and attention to training and research right here in Africa. Beyond healthcare delivery, we see African Medical Center of Excellence Abuja as an opportunity to create jobs within the medical and healthcare space.
Oluranti Dorothy is managing director for the Export Development Bank at Afri-Exim. Now, let's turn attention to the stock market. If you are a shareholder of MTN Ghana, today you lost 2 pesos. It means that the share now is worth 2 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos. That of Car Bank was also down by 2 pesos to close at 55 5 pesos. Now, indeed, if you had invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange, your returns now stands at 22.51%. Now, that is much higher or better than most of the returns on the investment assets or tools or documents out on the market. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
Joe, thank you very much. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. Cooper in La Paz says, let the EC use total verification machines to compare the totals on the pink sheets to solve the problem of Ablekuma North constituency. Nana Kwama says, I lived in Ablekuma North and it is disappointing that we don't have an MP to represent us in Parliament when we exercise our constitutional rights on December 7th to vote massively for Madam Nana Akua-Afriyie, yet the NDC wants to deny us representation. Francis says, we, the people of Ablekuma North constituency, are very, very fine, even without an MP. District Assembly is enough for us. Even as Ghana is being run by 56 ministers, is Ghana not governed as a country? Another one says, do the MPP know any other word besides Rambo style? Saul was denied representation for 4 good years, but they were quiet. These people cannot be trusted. Samin Kumasi says, if the minority MPs were not really doing politics, why didn't they embark on a similar exercise to call on the EC to get MP for the people of Saul when for a whole 4 years they never had representation? Raymond from the Spinkters Road says, where were these MPs when Saul was disenfranchised for 4 good years? Those are a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console. Well, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is intensifying its pursuit of Charles Bisu, a former presidential staffer and key figure in the ongoing Galamsey fraud case. Charles Bisu faces charges of using public office for profit, a serious offence under Ghanaian law. With his trial set to resume on June 10, 2025, a crucial case management conference will determine the next steps in the proceedings. This development comes on the heels of the High Court's conviction of Bisu's co-accused, Thomas Andiowusu, adding momentum to OSP's efforts to hold individuals accountable in this high-profile case. Kenneth, my colleague, joins me in the studio with more on this. What else do we know, Kenneth?
Thomas Andiowusu was convicted on his own plea. He was the second accused in the case, the Republic versus Charles Bisu versus another, a case that stems from the 2019 Galamsey fraud investigation by Tiger IPI. The High Court accepted a plea agreement under Section 71 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act. Now, Mr. Owusu admitted to corruption and bribery, specifically bribing a public officer with 15,000 Ghana cedis to facilitate illegal mining licenses.
And what penalties did the court impose?
Well, according to the agreement, Owusu is to pay a fine of 500 penalty units, which is equivalent to 6,000 Ghana cedis, and a restitution of 200,000 Ghana cedis to the state for bribing a public officer with 15,000 Ghana cedis.
But Charles Bisu appears to be the main target of the OSP's prosecution. What about him? What happens to him?
Well, exactly. So with Mr. Owusu convicted, the focus now shifts to the first accused, Charles Bisu, who is a former presidential staffer, and he's facing a charge of using public office for profit. Contrary to Section 179CB of the Criminal Offences Act 1960 Act 29, he has not pleaded guilty. So the full trial resumes on the 10th of June, as you mentioned earlier, with a scheduled case management conference.
So that's the update on that particular subject, with the OSP securing a conviction in that particular case. It begs the question, what does this mean for Charles Bisu, considering that the other party has plea bargained and the OSP has accepted it? Often when that happens, it tells you that he may become a prosecution witness in the case, and we watch this very closely. Let's do sports now, and Ms. Barry is here with the latest.
Yeah, Evans, well, remember that Ofori-Atta failed to qualify Ghana for the AFCON, which is scheduled to take place later this year, and a lot of fans called for his sack, but the Ghana Football Association insisted on keeping him, and it looks like keeping him has paid off with the team in some very pretty good position at the moment to qualify for the World Cup. And one of the individuals who are excited about that decision by the Ghana Football Association is former coach of the national team, CK Akono, who is even back in Otuado to go on to qualify Ghana for the 2026 World Cup.
It's seasons. And once it happens to you, what is important is that you need to be calm. What was important, I think the FA was calm about it. Yeah, the atmosphere was toxic. It wasn't good, but they were calm. And I think the reflection of what is going on now is because they were calm and they encourage the coach and work. And we can clearly see that things are going well for them. We are all hopeful, and we believe that definitely the coming World Cup will be there. Even though the qualification is not done, we strongly believe that we will be there. And so that is what we need to do. Sometimes changing coaches is not the results, because it's sometimes not anybody's fault. It's just the moment, the situation, the season. It's not going well.
That's CK Akono, former coach of the Black Stars. And events happening tonight and tomorrow is the UEFA Nations League semi-finals. And tonight, the first game is happening. All the games are happening in Germany. And the first game is Germany versus Portugal. And 40-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo is in the starting lineup for Portugal against Germany tonight. So we'll see. He's not going to stop playing. 40 years of age.
40 years.
And he wants to play the World Cup next year.
I know. That's why he's still playing. And there are rumors that he may be leaving Saudi.
Very, very rife that he might be leaving
interesting
Saudi.
Indeed. Watch
That's
that.
it.
Thank you, Ms. Bao. Now, once discarded as trash, plastic is now paying the bills for some of Accra's most determined workers. At Old Lavender Hill in Koligono, a former dumping ground is now a place of new beginnings. Amongst them is Victoria Kugali, a plastic collector and mother of three, who is rebuilding her life on plastics. Jemima Ando has more in a Climate Focus series.
Victoria Kogali never imagined she would find her job in a place most people avoid, plastic recycling. She came to Accra from the Volta region, not to sort trash, but to rebuild her future.
I was a student, but I couldn't complete my education. I came here trying to find something to do so that I can continue with my education, but all happened when I became pregnant, so I have to stop. And I'm a mother of 3 kids.
With no one to turn to and no stable income enough to feed her family, Victoria tried many things. The money was never enough until she found work at Asante Recycling Enterprise.
As I entered into the recycling business, I think things are okay for me now. I can take out the things. Though it's not easy for me, but it's far better than the other one that I've engaged myself in. And moreover too, I've done this work for 6 to 7 years now. Here, I'm a worker, then I'm an assistant supervisor.
Victoria is one of dozens working here at Old Lavender Hills in Koligono, where plastic waste has turned into jobs and a cleaner environment. Once a symbol of Accra's waste management failure, this area is now home to one of the capital's most impactful recycling efforts. In a city where plastic often blocks drains and litters the streets, every bottle recycled here helps make Accra cleaner. For women like Victoria, recycling is not just survival, it is a source of pride. She still dreams of becoming a nurse or an accountant.
I've also gathered some small money that I've been using to be buying the goods, because me working for someone to pay me alone cannot cater for my kids. It will not suffice me. So I decided at least when I have like maybe 1,000, I can buy goods and I can get interest. And through that interest, I can save some and I can also use some to cater for my kids and myself. I wish I can continue with my education. There are works in Ghana that when we do, we can cater for ourselves and our kids without even burdening ourselves to travel outside. This Ghana here, we can work here and take care of our kids.
In a country still battling plastic pollution and youth unemployment, Victoria Kogali is not just sorting waste. She's rebuilding her life, one bottle at a time. Jemima Anders report read to you.
Climate Focus is brought to you by JoyNews in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
Well, they say water is life, but for many residents in Nadoli and Nandom in the Upper West region, they've had to endure years without this basic right. Well, there is some good news tonight because WaterAid Ghana, in partnership with Guinness Ghana Breweries and Interplus, have commissioned 2 water expansion projects in both Nadoli and Nandom towns, which have the capacity to produce 200,000 cubic meters of water annually. Now, Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC for the past 5 years has commissioned 13 of such water facilities in the country together, working with the Water Aid. The commissioning of the projects is to boost water supply in the respective towns. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
The Nadoli Township is one of the fastest growing towns in the Upper West region. Out of a population of 86,000 people that resides in the Nadoli-Keleo district, 6,201 are located here at Nadoli. The Greater Nadoli Enclave depends on the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, CWSA, for water. They have an 80 cubic meter capacity overhead tank that supplies water to 530 domestic customers and 12 standpipes. The daily demand of water consumption in the area has far outweighed the capacity of the water pumped daily from the high-rising tank. As a result, water supply here is erratic as it's been rationed. All, however, will be a thing of the past. Water Aid Ghana, in partnership with Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC, in collaboration with CWSA and the Nadoli-Keleo District Assembly, with support from Interplus Limited, commissioned the Nadoli Water Expansion Project. Under the Water for Life project, 2 towns in the Upper West region, namely Nadoli and Nandom, have their water supply systems expanded to enable them pump 200,000 cubic meters of water. The project will save over 88,000 people in the 2 towns. Water Aid Country Director Iwurabuna Fanyi Akofo threw further light on the project.
The focus of this project is really making sure that we are supporting CWSA and our local authorities to provide water, safe drinking water for everybody everywhere. And this year we've done this water expansion with CWSA in 2 locations, that is the Nandom and the Nandoli. All together we are expanding about 200,000 cubic meters of water to 80,000 people in these regions. The hope is that through this project, people will have access to water every day. Young children, of course, don't have to journey for hours to get water before they go to school. Households will have access to water to cook, to bath, to do their household chores. But most importantly, our healthcare facilities that also access water from CWSA will have adequate water to enable them manage their wash, infection prevention and control at the facility.
Corporate Relations Director for Guinness Ghana Breweries PLC, Sylvia Usu Ankoma, disclosed that for the past 5 years, her outfit has identified communities that have challenges with water, with a commitment that they provide them with clean drinking water and also equip them with water, sanitation and health education to ensure that it is a priority for the communities.
13 of these projects have been commissioned across Ghana, mostly in the Upper East, Upper West region. And we've been very deliberate in choosing these communities because they also fall within communities where we source our local raw materials, which is sorghum and maize from these communities. Guinness Ghana turns 65 this year, and it's also our commitment that for the next 65 years, we'll continue to partner with our communities, ensure that their livelihoods are improved and that it's a shared, growth for all of us to develop Ghana.
She noted that the project is also a way of showing their appreciation and to say thank you to the communities that they are getting their raw materials from.
We think in communities where we source our raw materials, we sell our products, we manufacture our products, we ensure that there's end-to-end sustainability. We call it grain-to-glass sustainability. We source our grain, we produce our grains into products that our consumers then get to enjoy, the beautiful products that you experience from Guinness Ghana, which are all locally manufactured from our Guinness Extra Foreign Stout, Malta Guinness, Star, ABC, and all the other products that you know from Guinness Ghana.
The rationing of water from the water systems here does not only affect the lives of domestic consumers, but critical health and emergency services as well.
And that there is Rafiq Salam reporting from, and the lady who is joining me right now was actually outroing for him. You might as well
Rafiq Salam from Wow. Hi Rafiq, if you're listening, good evening.
That voice belongs to the strong and sassy host in the morning, Mado.
Hello, Evans.
What's up on the show?
So tonight we're talking about gender roles, right? So I was thinking during the week that have gender roles in relationships and marriage changed?
Of course.
When I got married for the first time about 17, 18 years ago, there are certain things that I expected, right? Okay, I'm going to have a husband. This is what he's going to do. This is this is that. This is what I'm going to do. Today I look at myself and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this again, what am I expecting? And I realized that the things that I'm expecting have changed. So then I started thinking, is it like that, for everyone? Is it a thing that comes with age? Is it a thing that has come with the times that we're expecting different things? Or is it just a me thing? You know what I mean? So I thought, why don't we actually have a conversation about gender roles and whether they've changed? So let me ask you really quickly before you go.
It has changed, of course. You're expecting a wife back in the day, when you're growing up, because that's all you saw your mom do, cook and be in the kitchen, stay home, etc. But now, you're expecting your wife to be working, to bring her fair share, taking part of the bedding as far as the bills are concerned. You are also, as a man, expected to take care of the kids, be in the kitchen,
changing the diapers, bath the children, do homework.
So it's that's, I guess it's just, you can't do without it now.
You can't, So that's what we're talking about tonight, how much it has changed and the ways in which it has changed. But tonight's show is also very interactive. So if you're listening, stay tuned in and join us, Facebook, Instagram, and of course I'll be announcing our WhatsApp lines.